Thank you for coming on to How Did You Find Out podcast. Today I have my amazing friend Anastasia.
Hi.
Anastasia and I met, I want to say, in 2019, definitely
2019.
before COVID.
Yeah.
We were both wholesale reps
Mm-hmm.
for this crazy owner. And I think we were literally probably the only few women in there. There was like maybe a couple, but it was like...
I think we were the only
right?
women.
Yeah.
Out of 15.
Yes, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And Anastasia and I connected instantly.
Literally. I came downstairs. She was sitting in the hotel lobby, and it was just a bunch of men, and I saw a girl, and I just sat next to her, and she just started talking to me. And
we're friends now.
Yeah, and it was like instant.
We've never stopped talking since.
No, literally. And the awesome thing about Anastasia is that even when, we had COVID, that we didn't see each other.
Mm-mm.
And then I moved.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't see each other.
No.
And now you're back in San Diego.
Well, no. Well, technically I am back in San Diego. I just found out over Thanksgiving I spent my childhood in Ocean Beach.
Oh, that's right.
And the first time to my memory I ever saw Ocean Beach was about 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
When I was a wholesale rep for another company, and my manager had a broker down in Ocean Beach, and driving over the bridge into Sunset Cliffs, I just felt like this energy, like a welcoming energy, and I've just been drawn to it ever since. Moved there in September, and then my aunt looked at me like I was crazy on Thanksgiving. She's like, "You do realize you spent your childhood here?"
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And Anastasia's one of my friends that I can not talk to her for a couple weeks or months, and then I'd like call her and I'd be like, I need to run this by you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, really quick, X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
So we have like a really solid friendship that even if we haven't seen each other for a long time, we always catch up where we left off. So I want to thank you for that.
Everything's about energy, right?
Yes, and she's my gypsy mama, you guys. Like her adorable apartment is like the best thing I've ever seen. She says it had to be, what is it? Feng
shui.
Feng shui. You got to have your degrees here, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's all feng shui, and like so I'm definitely a Christian. Like I just want to throw that out there, but I also do things in unison with energy and Jesus. I studied theology for many years. Went to school for it. I have a minor in biblical studies, but I also studied. So theology is the study of all religions, and I kind of
gravitate.
Yeah, like I merge them, and it's more about philosophy to me, and living my life with goodness.
Goodness, yeah. And speaking of that, what is it that your son tells you? We had talked about this, like. What is
my truth spell?
Yes.
Show me your truth. So I have this thing.
It's amazing, guys, and it fucking works. Okay,
it works every single time. Like if something doesn't feel right, or if I think that I am not in a good situation, I feel like someone is lying to me. I say a prayer to God, and I say, "Dear Lord Jesus, please have this person tell me the truth."
Mm-hmm.
And my son makes fun of me because it happens all the time, and when it's happening, people will even say, "I can't believe I'm telling you this. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I can't believe..." Like, they're literally spilling their guts to me, and they're like, "I can't believe I'm telling you this."
Literally.
Yeah. And so my son is not as woo-woo as I am, or he's not at all. And so he makes fun of me, and he's like, "Show me your truth." And I'm like, but it works.
It really does.
Yeah, it works. I mean, I've had people tell me the stuff that they were going to do to me.
Right.
Before they did it, and so I was able to prevent it from happening.
Yeah. That's such a gift.
So elaborate on that. What do you mean by that?
I don't know how to explain it. It's just like I do pray and meditate 3 times a day. I was raised a I chose my religion, and the religion I chose as a child was Congregationalism. And all of our forefathers, like not every single one, but like 99% of them were Congregationalist. So our Constitution of the United States is based off of the Congregational doctrines. And part of that, every single day in practice, we are supposed to pray and meditate 2 to 3 hours a day. We're supposed to read some form of scripture every single day. And we're supposed to have conversation every single day that has to lead people or help people to God or Jesus. Or I believe that everyone's path, and this is the Congregationalist, everyone's path to God is an individual path. And we're just here to help other people get to God. And so like there is a difference between judgment and discernment. So I don't judge people. If someone's gay, I don't care if someone's gay. You know, but if someone were to come to me and say like, hey, I'm gay, I'm having problems with Christianity, and you know, it says in the Bible you're not supposed to be, well then I'm like, well, you have to pray on it, and it's a choice between you and God. This is a conversation for you and God.
Yeah, and I want to say that's kind of like your answer to like everything.
Everything.
Literally, like you've told me that many times.
It's like you have to figure this out with
the man upstairs.
So, and I truly believe if a person spends, 2 to 3 hours a day in prayer and meditation, they read some form of scripture, and then they have conversations, and we have a lot of those conversations. That's what she was saying earlier, is like, I'll run stuff by her, she'll run stuff by me, and I know like her purpose is for goodness, so she's gonna want the best for everyone else, just like I want the best for everyone else.
Right.
I can literally say, hand to God, I don't know what jealousy feels like.
Yeah, I've never felt that towards, like, from you. You know, there's girls, and there's just, like, real girls, and that's something that every like, milestone that I've been able to hit, and if anything, you're way more encouraging than most people, I would say, in my circle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I think that, like, from dating, from moving back, like all the things, you've always been 100% supportive, and most importantly, you're like, pray about it, meditate about it, and all of that. And you've gone through some challenging times, one of them being thyroid cancer.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how'd you find out about that.
I found out during meditation, and I just had, in June 21st, 2020, I had an emergency surgery. The doctors still to this day don't know what happened first. Like, did my gallbladder my gallbladder did not explode. They had to chop up my gallbladder. But I had an infection in my entire abdomen. To this day, they don't know where the infection came from. I mean, obviously this was like smack dab in the middle of COVID. It wasn't COVID. I've never had COVID. But interesting enough, like, I had the COVID antibodies for it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And because, they test you and all that stuff, right? Kept in the hospital for many days. I had a lot of problems with my gut afterwards. I wasn't allowed to walk for 2 weeks. I wasn't allowed to sit for more than 2 hours at a time.
Wow.
I really wasn't supposed to drive for almost 3 months. It was major issues. It was a major surgery. And, but it was during that 3-month period. Oh, and I should probably add this. I was adopted into a family, because I was abandoned when I was a child. And literally my mom dropped me off on a stranger's doorstep. And Travis was 2.5 months older than me. And we were I lived there for 3 years. And while I call him my brother, like my adopted brother, he was a mortician at the time. And if anyone knows anything about that industry, like morticians and coroners, they usually die of liver failure because they're surrounded by death all the time.
Right.
And so they drink, and that was definitely him. I did not know he was in the hospital for liver failure when I was in the hospital. 3 days after I came out of the hospital, I found out that he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
And so that really hurt me
Yeah.
because I hadn't seen him for a couple of years. And, you know, we talked like maybe, he lived in Colorado, and we talked every couple of months. And so I call it my coming to Jesus moment. I was bedridden for 2 weeks, laying on my back. My brother died. And then just 2 weeks before I was in the hospital, I had a close friend named Kevin who died in his sleep of a seizure.
Oh my gosh.
And so I call it my coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
I was laying there, and I was in the wholesale industry. It was crazy. And I just wasn't happy with my life. And I wasn't practicing prayer and meditation. I wasn't practicing, you know, you were talking about exercising earlier. So one of my absolute favorite things to do is spend 45 minutes in the pool, because it's just me and God.
Right.
And I love doing that. And I wasn't doing any of these things. And we couldn't at that time because it was COVID.
Right.
And so I decided that I was going to get back to prayer, meditation, and to reading. And I have this weird formula where every single day I pick a number, I go to YouTube, and then I'm like, okay, whatever that number is, that's the meditation I'm going to do. And sometimes the meditations are only 10 minutes, and sometimes they're 4 hours.
Wow.
And so it was in one of these, it was over a 3-hour meditation, and I was just sitting there, and I was focusing on Jesus and healing my body because it really needed to be healed. And then I heard a man's voice in my head said, "You need an ultrasound of your thyroid."
Oh my gosh.
And literally put the fear of God into me.
Yeah.
And I was adamant. I went to so many different doctors, none of them, I even had a friend at the time, she was a OBGYN in Newport. She now lives in New Mexico, and we don't talk anymore or anything like that, but I even went to her and asked her for just a referral for an ultrasound. Ultrasound's no big deal. It's not like it's an x-ray. It's not
Right.
gonna hurt me or
Right.
anything like that. So many doctors refused to give me an ultrasound because I told them the truth. I'm not gonna be like, oh, like, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I was praying and I was meditating, and God told me I needed an ultrasound of my thyroid.
Right.
I have one friend, his name's Kurt. He is a medical patent doctor, and he works with a lot of doctors. He patents a lot of medication and so forth. And so I called him up and I was like, hey, do you know any endocrinologists that can write me a referral for an ultrasound? And he's like, yeah, Susan Pekovitz. She's in Beverly Hills. She's the absolute best in the world. There's 4 thyroid medications. He patented one of the 4 that she
wow.
created. So literally, I'm going to the best of the best endocrinologist. I told you,
Yeah.
you know, about her. So I go, make the appointment, go to Beverly Hills, and I'm there for 2 hours, talking to her for 2 hours, and she's like, you know, why are you here? I tell her why, and she's like, okay, well, after my examination, I'll determine whether or not you need an ultrasound of your thyroid. At the end of the 2 hours, and she's like, you don't need it. I'm not going to get you an ultrasound of that thyroid. You know, we're going to wait. We're going to wait like maybe a year, maybe 2. And she's like, do you have any other questions for me? And I go, yeah. How about that fucking referral for my thyroid?
Yeah.
And she just like stopped in her tracks.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, would that make you feel better?
Oh shit.
And I go, yeah, it would. Write it. And she's like, she starts laughing, you know, laughing at me.
Right.
And she's like, okay, I do believe peace of mind is, you know, just as good as any real medication. And she's like, I'll just go ahead and write it for you. So as soon as I got into the car, I lived in Newport at the time, and, you know, going from Beverly Hills to Newport during COVID was better than it is now, but it was still took a while. And I had 2 radiology places, like imaging places at Fashion Island. I called them both, and one of them was like, oh, I literally just had a cancellation. Will you be able to come here at 2:00? And I'm like, and I was leaving at 11, and I was like, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And so like I walked right in, and she's like, I can't believe it. She's like, we book out 2 months in advance.
Oh yeah.
And the other place was booked out 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like walked right in and got the ultrasound. It came back, this was on a Tuesday, it came back to Dr. Pekovic's on Friday, and I got a phone call. And she was like, hey, I need to apologize to you.
I was gonna say, I hope it was, I'm sorry.
Yeah, her first words were, I need to apologize to you.
Wow.
And I said, okay, what are you apologizing for? And she goes, I just got your ultrasound. And she goes, you have 4 extremely large tumors.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason why none of the doctors could feel them is because they're growing alongside your thyroid. So every single doctor like touched this, it wasn't swollen, none of that. And so long story short, she apologized, and she's like, we need to get an aspiration of it. And so that's another thing that takes forever. Right? So I kept trying to get an earlier appointment, and I got a phone call from Susan. She's like, I need you to go back to Newport Imaging right away. And she's like, today. And so like I drove to Newport, it was like 2 miles from me. So like I go to Newport Imaging, and the girl at the front desk, and she's like, we don't have an appointment for you. I'm like, my doctor told me to come.
Right.
And and then another lady comes running out, and she goes, yeah, no, she's an emergency. Like, we're prepping a room for her right now for her aspiration.
Oh my gosh.
And so I get into the room.
Yeah.
Susan was so convincing. The surgeon, and the radiologist, that's what he was. The radiologist was golfing at Pelican Hill. If anyone knows how expensive it is to golf at Pelican Hill, she convinced him to leave his golf game.
Wow.
And he was pissed.
Yeah.
He was pissed. He literally walks into the exam room and he goes, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, no
Anastasia?
one. Yeah, I was like, I'm really no one. My name's Anastasia. And he goes, who is Susan Pekovitz to you? And I go, she's my endocrinologist. Yeah. And he goes, she got my cell phone number. I was golfing at Pelican Hill. He goes, I hope you don't have cancer, but you better fucking have cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And he did the same thing, and he goes, I don't feel anything.
Of course.
You know?
You're like, take a number.
And I was like, okay. And then he, is doing the ultrasound, and he looks at me shocked. And, this time everyone's wearing masks, right? So he looks at me shocked. I couldn't see his mouth open, but I knew it was.
Yeah.
And he goes, how the fuck did you know that you had tumors?
Yeah.
He goes, these are huge. And I go, do you want the long story or the short story? And he goes, short. And I go, I asked God. He goes, fair enough. And he did the aspirations. Of course, they were cancerous. Yeah. And they were doubling in size every 30 days.
Oh my gosh.
So this is now, this is April. No, now we're in May of 2021.
Wow.
And they told me like I only had until June of 2021 to remove my thyroid because the lymph nodes and before it spreads and everything like that. Yeah. And even how the surgery came about, my appointment for the surgery. So I didn't have medical insurance at this time. I wasn't working. And with all of this going on, I never realized the last bank I worked for never offered me Cobra. Okay, this is important. So I was paying cash for everything.
Yeah.
Cash, credit. And I was calling surgeons. So the good news is, not having medical insurance, I can now have any surgeon I choose.
Right.
The bad news is that all of the surgeons, and I wanted a specialized surgeon that specialized in thyroid ectomy or whatever it's called, and they are all booked through September. I can't get an appointment until September.
Jeez.
And this is May, and I'm told like I have until the end of June before it spreads, because that's how fast that they're growing.
Aggressive, yeah.
Yeah, and I was going, I got a total of 6 ultrasounds after this, because they kept monitoring them and they kept growing. And then I remembered, okay, well, I'm praying and meditating every single day. I'm just going to give it to God. And I have a friend, she lives in Arizona. She's one of my woo-woo friends. I'm not going to say her last name, but her first name is Sylvia. And I told her, she reached out to me. And she was like, hey, Spirit is telling me you need me.
Wow.
And I was like, I do need you. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
And so she sent me something from one of her books. And she goes, you need to meditate that Jesus is holding your thyroid and imagine lavender light coming down.
Wow.
And then I have another friend, her name is Neely Nathan, and she's just as woo as I am. She's a loan officer, and we instantly clicked many, many years ago. She works for C2. And now she lives in Florida.
Okay.
And she's like, hey, I did some research for you. She's like, you need to start doing solfeggio frequencies. They'll heal your body. You need to start humming. And she's like, you studied religion, you studied theology. And she's like, what do monks do? Monks hum. And humming helps with all of this, right? So I started practicing humming. I started, praying and doing the meditation with the lavender, imagining lavender light, and imagining Jesus was holding my thyroid with his hands, and they were like an iron clasp. The next ultrasound I got, it was just a bunch of little dots, but the thyroid was, or the tumors weren't growing. They stopped growing.
Wow.
And so the doctor, she was like, your immune system is kicking in. It's preventing all, like, your tumors from growing, and all these little dots, these are your immune system fighting it. And I was like, praise the Lord Jesus. So I found the surgeon I wanted, but her next available appointment isn't until August.
Jeez.
And because my tumors stopped growing, they're like, okay, you have, September is like the absolute. As long as they don't grow anymore, September is the absolute last. Like, you have to get it all done. So I keep practicing, and I keep calling the surgeon as well, surgeon's office as well, to make an appointment. And the girl answers the phone. She's like, oh my God, like, God loves you. She's like, literally someone just canceled their surgery for July 21st. And she's like, and it's at 8 a.m. And I said, I'll take it. And I don't have insurance. So I have to go make an appointment, do like the pre-op and everything like that. And I'm like, how much is the insurance? And we're still in the month of May, by the way. And they're like, the surgery is $70,000.
Wow.
And you have to pay for it up front.
Jeez.
And I'm out of money.
Yeah.
I'm out of money. My medical costs were anywhere from $9,000 to $13,000 a month from the time I had the gallbladder removal and like the whole thing that was fixed. So I'm praying to God on the way home, and I was like, okay, God, I completely give this up to you.
Right.
And I had an urge. I hate going through my mail, but I had this urge, like this voice telling me, go through your mail.
Yeah.
Go through your mail. So I literally, like, my mail is like this thick. And so I pick up the first letter, and it was from the last bank I work at, which subsequently is now the bank I work for again.
Oh, how funny.
It's a new owner.
Yeah.
It's a new owner, but it was the very last bank I had worked for. And I open the letter, and this is Memorial Weekend. It's dated February. So this is how long I haven't opened my mail. They gave me until May 31st. First of all, it was an apology letter.
Wow.
We're so sorry we never offered you Cobra.
Jeez.
If you promise not to sue us, we'll pay for all of your medical expenses
Oh my God.
for the next 6 months. You have until May 31st at 5 p.m.
Chills.
to accept this agreement.
Jeez.
So this was a Friday,
Yeah.
Memorial Weekend. That Tuesday,
Yeah.
I called at 8 a.m. and I continued to call. I finally got a hold of someone at 2
Yeah.
o'clock. The people, it was 2 girls on the other phone, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, like, we'll send you a DocuSign right now. And I go, well, when is my insurance going to be affected? And they said, your insurance will take effect tomorrow, June 1st. So I obviously signed
I'm
it.
literally getting emotional here.
Oh my God.
I obviously signed it. Thank the Lord. And I was like, I just got all of my medical, like my surgery, my $70,000 surgery is paid for. Everything for the next 6 months is paid for. I mean, huge blessing, right?
Right.
Huge blessing. And the date of the surgery, like I like just the way that it happened. So I go in July 21st, 13 months to the day after my previous surgery. And after the surgery, you know, the surgeon comes in and she goes, hey, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm doing great. And she goes, I want you to know it was like tar in your throat. She's like, you know, the thyroid. She goes, I don't think you had a healthy cell.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, I had to scrape it out.
So she scraped everything out.
So she scraped everything out. She took a cross section of my neck, and she took some lymph nodes to have them all tested to make sure the cancer didn't spread past that. So 2 weeks later, I go for my post-op, and she goes, do you remember all those dots I told you that was your immune system? And I go, yeah. And she goes, no. Those were new cancer cells.
Oh my gosh.
And she goes, somebody wants you here. And she goes, I don't know why. And she was Jewish, and she would go to Israel every year for 30 days.
Yeah.
And so the day that she came back, she just got back at 7 a.m. that morning, flew straight from LAX.
Yeah.
Or drove straight from LAX, flew into LAX to the surgery center, and my surgery was at the St. John's Cancer Institute in Santa Monica.
Wow.
And she goes, somebody wants you here. And she goes, she knew my whole story. She, you know, every single doctor, you know, that was like, oh, how'd you find out you had thyroid cancer? And I'm like, oh, because God told me in meditation.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget one surgeon. He was also Jewish, and you know, we talked about him going to the Chabad and all that stuff. And he goes, well, he's kind of pissed, and he goes, I wish God would tell me something, like would answer my prayers. And I just look straight at him and I go, sometimes no is an answer.
Right.
And then he just like slumped. He felt defeated, and he goes, that's not the answer I wanted. And I go, sometimes it's because it's he has something better for you.
Right.
And now it's tongue in cheek when I go into my same doctors, and they're like, so what does God want us to know about your health today? You know, and I'm like, you know, because there have been some times I'm like, hey, like, this is what's going on, and they're like,
We believe you.
yeah, no, it's like now, like,
Yeah.
they totally believe me, but yeah, the entire thyroid, I didn't have one single healthy cell.
That's insane. Well, and I think that there's that phrase like let go and let God,
Yes.
which is so powerful. And I think that when you really practice that, it really releases the anxiety. You know, and your body holds on to that stress, right? And it just causes a domino effect things. And you guys, we had talked about what we were going to talk about before you came on, and this was not the topic, so she's definitely going to come back. But I think there's a reason why we're discussing this, you know, because maybe somebody out there is facing some challenges and needs that reassurance, like let go and let God.
Yeah.
Like you've always been very, very positive and very like, you're so soft-spoken and your temperament is just so like calming that I think that there's a reason why Emily's crying, I'm crying.
Well,
we're just a mess.
I'm one of those people, so it's like, yeah.
I did want to
Beautiful.
add one thing that I forgot to mention, which also ties all of this in together. The day that my friend Nilly Nathan, because she had also lived in Beverly Hills at this time, the day that she had told me you need to start humming and singing and stuff like that to help, I mentioned that my brother Travis had passed away, and so I was traveling from Beverly Hills and praying, and I was like, Travis, if you're there, like, please let me know.
Yeah.
And sidebar conversation, he was married to a wonderful woman named Nora. Like, her and I still talk on occasion. But before Nora, he was engaged to this woman named Grace. Grace was wonderful, like really cute. However, she had an affair with Chris Isaac.
Oh, wow.
When they were living in San Francisco, and my brother was the youngest coroner ever to be hired for San Francisco County in its history. He was 26.
Wow.
And she met Chris Isaac. They had an affair, broke up, Travis and her, right? I was banned from ever listening to Chris Isaac. I love Chris Isaac's music.
Yeah.
And San Francisco Days was written about Grace.
Oh, wow.
As I said that, and at the time I had Pandora, San Francisco Days from Chris Isaac started playing.
Oh my gosh.
And that was my confirmation that Travis was there with me.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had heard any of Chris Isaac's music
Yeah.
since San Francisco Days came out. And that was, I mean, like 97 or 98.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, Travis, thank you.
And what a song.
And what a song. Like, that album is based on her.
That's crazy.
And that's my and so that was my confirmation that, and so I started singing, and
Wow.
yeah.
You've literally left me speechless.
And I don't think I've ever even told you that.
No, and this is part of the reason, like, why I try to, like, do a little regroup before, and we, you know, talk about what we're going to talk about, but this was not on topic at all, and some of these things are, you know, I'm learning firsthand as well.
But that's, I mean, goes back to my belief, and I don't have a problem calling God the universe, because una means one, and verse is the word of God. So sometimes, you know, people are like, oh, don't you believe in God? You know, you're praying to the universe. I'm like, but even in the Bible, he says he doesn't want to be known by one name.
Right.
And so if I'm saying, you know, hey, like, thank you, universe, I'm saying thank you to God.
Right, just in a different format.
Different format. One word.
So let's talk a little bit about, for example, for a newbie that is wanting to learn about meditation, and really like what is it, right? There's some people that don't really know, they just hear it all the time. So
Yeah.
if somebody's out there listening and they want to try something like that, like what's the first things that you would like recommend?
Absolute first thing is I would do a guided meditation.
Okay.
And start off small. Start off with 5 minutes
Okay.
or 9 minutes. And YouTube is wonderful. I have a subscription to that. There are other, you know, people or whatever like that do it. Like Robert Zink. I love Robert Zink. I do a lot of his, and I'll pay like, it's anywhere between, depending on when you sign up,
Right.
for his Zoom meditations.
Wow.
And I try to do them every solstice.
Okay.
So, you know, Christmas, well, not Christmas, but, you know, winter
Right.
solstice and so forth. And doing them in group virtually with people all over the world.
That's powerful.
It's so powerful. It's
gosh.
amazing. And I've paid as much as $180 because I've joined at the last minute to do it. Or as little as $45. But he has a monthly subscription. I don't quote me on it because I'm not a part of it, like
Yeah.
his business. But I think it's like $33 a month.
Wow.
And he has a lot of meditations on there. And you just got to be quiet. You can sit down, you can lay down. It's best to keep your eyes closed and then just listen to the instructions and then just do whatever they tell you to do in the guided meditation
Yeah.
and then slowly build from there.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in, and that was incredible. I'm still so emotional. But
Pretty crazy, yeah.
yeah. We'll have to bring you back on all the other stuff that I want to touch on. But one question I do want to ask you, given that you know your whole story, you know, given what you've experienced, what would you tell the younger version of yourself, knowing what you've lived?
Oh, listen to it more. My intuition more. Listen to God more. I was very younger. I was very like, oh, this isn't true. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real. I thought everything was fake. Like, there is a spiritual realm.
Right.
1000%. There is a spiritual realm. And when things happen, I'm like, oh, this couldn't be possible. This isn't real. And now I think everything is possible and it can be real.
Exactly.
So
That's what you would tell little Anastasia.
that's what I would listen to my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you again for coming.
Yeah.
And thank you to Coastal Key Capital for sponsoring this. And just remember to like, subscribe, and share this too. You feel it would be very helpful. So
Yes.
thank you.